Hi, my name is Aquasia Hall, and I'm a sophomore here at USC. And today I'll be presenting on parents' effects on childhood obesity, since parents are the key to stopping this epidemic. Now, when your child grows up being overweight or obese, a lot of things come with it, such as depression, anxiety, anger. All of this stuff builds up. So, about 18.4% of the children in America are obese. So, in order to lower this number, there's a few things that we have to consider. The first thing that we should consider is genetics. So, parents have a lot of things that they could pass down to their children. One of the things that can happen is that there could be a mutation within a gene, such as leptin. Leptin is one of the hormones in your body that's produced all over your body that like regulates your appetite. So if there's a mutation in this, then your appetite can't be controlled and you can eat uncontrollably. But it's also been proven that there's a 75% chance of the children growing up to be more obese if their parents are obese as well. So in order to lower this number, we also need to take into effect that the parents need to lose weight as well. Okay. Another factor we need to take into consideration is the socioeconomic status. About 14.5% of Americans are in poverty. That's around like roughly 43 million people live below the poverty line, so they do not have access to a lot of the resources that they need in order to live a healthy lifestyle. It's been proven that the rate of obesity is directly tied to the head of the household. So if the head of the household has a lower education, that means that they have not been exposed to the amount of knowledge that they need in order to receive a healthy lifestyle. Instead, they've been exposed to fast foods and all these other things that they can just get their hands on. So the less educated the country is as well, the more obese the family is. And the more educated the country is, oh, I'm sorry, I had that backwards. The less educated the country, the higher the socioeconomic, the more obese a family is. So if you live in a lower country and you have a higher status, that means that you have more access to a lot of the food that is unhealthy for you, as opposed to people that are lower in a lower educated country, and it's vice versa for higher educated countries. But either way, if you live in poverty, fast food is prevalent, or whatever you get your hands on, because it's cheaper. And a lot of parents work very hard in order to provide for their family, so they do not have time to cook, which also leaves the children vulnerable, and they have to go out and find something to eat, which usually is not healthy if you can't cook it at home. Another thing to consider is parental feeding. A lot of parents like to restrict their child from eating certain foods, but eventually the children tend to lose control whenever their parents aren't around and they're around the food that their parents did not want them to eat. So this leads to binge eating and all other types of eating disorders. And there's also pressure to eat. So a lot of parents pressure their children to eat in order to make sure that they clean their plate, and if they do a good job, they'll get a sweet treat or something like that. So they'll always get rewarded for they're always pressured to eat. And this usually comes from parents that have like high rules, such as like authoritarian parents or authoritative parents. And then there's parents that just don't really care, so they allow their children to eat anything that's in the house. Right, and this is a video on why we should stop this epidemic early.
Just came in. Heart attack. 5'9", 300 pounds, 32 years old.
How the hell does that happen? Y'all know how deep this is.
You have to make a change. Good job, Jim. You got an A+. Here are your fries, sweetie. You go. I still can't believe you give this child such choice. I know. But it's the only thing that'll make him stop.
Okay. And this is a video of exactly why we should start in the childhood in order to prevent things from like this from happening, in order for people to lower the risk of developing heart attacks, strokes, diabetes, and a bunch of other things that come with obesity. And this could all start in the childhood. Okay, so this is the main reason why we should stop it. Is because a lot of people are ignoring the signs, or they see that there's nothing wrong with being overweight, but there's actually a lot of health risks, and eventually this leads to the future generation becoming unhealthy as well. So instead of ignoring the signs, we should address them in order to better our future for our children and for anybody else. And that's the end of my presentation. Thank you.